You guys seem to know who your characters are so far. You have an occult shop. We need a name for your occult shop.
I'm just going to steal the name of another occult shop that I already know of. Mystic Moon.
You go with the Mystic Moon?
Yeah.
Okay. And you have pretty much it's just a generic occult shop. It's got like teen witch kits and amethyst and shit like that inside of it.
Crystals, all kinds of different incense you can buy, oils, books that you can borrow as long as you don't damage them. I mean, you can hang out there and he's not going to care as long as you're not damaging anything.
Now, is this the kind of place where if you find real talent, you train them in the back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay. Cool. Just making sure.
But I figure along with like the normal occult shop stuff, he'll probably also, for the tourists, do like tarot card readings and runes and all the typical stuff you can get.
Your sire's name is Mistress Julia Vaughn. She'll go by Jules to the humans. She probably just wants you to call her mistress.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
Yeah. She's helping you get situated. She's probably invested a lot of money in your store.
She probably was the initial funds.
Probably. And I'm thinking the big reason she probably wants to get you set up in the store in this city is because of how much damage happened to the New Orleans district recently. Mm-hmm. That game was set in late November. It is now April. Mm. So we are back on regular time and all that. So some time has passed. So there is room for new ventures, such as this new occult shop. Whereabouts do you want your shop?
Probably not exactly in the port, like the downtown district, but I would probably want it close to it.
Okay.
Something where, within walking distance, it makes it...
Do you want to do like the Pearl District? Do you want to do like St. John's? Oh, it's not walking distance, but it's a pretty big area. Old Town Portland is more than just the New Orleans district, so you can just be in that area. Okay. So in Old Town, you have a store called the Mystic Moon that's being funded by Mistress Julia Vaughn, or Jules. And
I probably make enough sales just to kind of keep the lights on, and that's where my leftover resources are essentially. Probably.
These stores don't do much.
Oh, I know.
However, this is where we can be to look for talent. You're going to find the young, the enthusiastic.
Well, I've talked to people in real life who ran shops like these, and most of the time they're running them as a labor of love more than anything.
Yeah. So. Not to mention, this is a good place to get people to feed from. That's the thing. She would have kept you informed as much as possible in your training. That the Tremere used to be more organized, more uniform, more stingy. They didn't share anything, including with its younger members. That's not how we're going to do things. If we build some type of school, it is not going to be a strict, you do as we say, monstrous chantry, and we need to get involved in what they're doing in the Camarilla here before that can be reestablished. She probably would have given you information about how the clans work. She would have told you to be careful around a lot of them.
Most of them.
Most of them.
Probably all of them.
All of them. But the thing is, you have to understand that most of them out there are going to be saying the exact same thing about you. The Tremere are historically deceitful and dangerous. And all I can say is rebranding. We have to rebrand.
So we're trying to break that stereotype.
We are trying to break that stereotype. The prince is a Malkavian.
Okay.
Cuckoo. It happens. They're obsessive. Sometimes they can be dangerous.
Anything I should know personally about this prince before I have to meet him?
He is prone to fits of paranoia, but as a prince, can you really blame him? Clan or otherwise. Especially with everything that's going on with the Anarchs. They're not too happy that we're back in town.
Well, the thing about positions of power does tend to paint a bullseye on your head.
Mm-hmm. Just to let you know, there is another occult shop that just opened in town.
Okay.
Called The Adder and the Pearl. And that is located in the New Orleans district, just a few streets away. You may want to be careful about them. Given the name, I'm assuming Ministry. So, those followers of Set. They are Anarch, but they could be competition in more ways than one for you. I have friends who are all coming here, and I'm going to try to get them. The idea is for us to get all of our shelter together. Create kind of like a support group. Make sure that you all can survive off of each other. Because each of you are going to have your own strengths and weaknesses, and it's going to be up to you to try to counterbalance them. So, we'll see exactly who gets involved, but within the next few nights, I'm going to get you a meeting on neutral ground before you actually go and meet the prince. Because you're going to have to start interacting in Elysium soon. It's good to have friends ahead of time.
Yeah, probably be good to know who's in the club before I walk in.
Do you have any questions?
Loads. But I'm not sure how to get them all out at once.
All right. I do have one question for you before I go for the night, because I need to figure out the one that doesn't suck. We can actually go, this actually happening in character. She's like reaching for books. Give me the one that doesn't suck. Like, I know that we've gone over this 100,000 times. And I'm sure you're sick and tired of hearing it. But traditions are the most important part dealing with the Camarilla. You might be asked randomly to name the fourth off the top of your head. Especially on nights when you're being introduced.
Fourth one, is it accounting?
Fourth is accounting.
I'm honestly surprised I remember.
Oh, I wish I could remember that acronym. My dad pays something hookers and dimes. I really wish. I can't remember what the A was. Oh, my dad pays all hookers and dimes. It helps you remember. It's a mnemonic device.
Masquerade, accounting, progeny,
accounting, domain, masquerade, domain, progeny, accounting, hookers,
hospitality.
That's how you treat hookers.
Do your business.
I like this character already. She is fun, and she is Meryl Streep from The Devil Wears Prada. Okay.
Is that who you're going to use?
Yes.
I was actually going to suggest the actress that played Trelawney in the Harry Potter movies.
No, I don't like her. And destruction. Okay, don't go waving your wand around in Elysium.
Okay.
You can laugh all you want, but we have a history. Our clan has a history that is not kind. We need to break that. And thank Karna we have the ability to do that now. She's going to leave you to what you're doing. Setting up the store and all that stuff. And we are going to move on to, what's your dude?
Thomas Castell.
Thomas Castell. And our Tremere here is Sydney McMillan. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so Thomas Castell.
My character, for the sake of anyone who knows him, he goes by Sid.
Sid? Okay. How long do you think Thomas has been in this city? Are you new to the city? Have you been a secret Camarilla in the city the entire time?
Secret Camarilla. Yeah.
Okay. Since November, the city has been in utter chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Complete and utter chaos. There have been riots. There have been fires. Someone set fire to the Benson a few weeks ago. It's nuts. Violence is way up in this city. And Mayor Wynn is...
Jesus.
And Mayor Wynn is pulling every string he can to stabilize Portland, which has become the new motto. Keep Portland weird has actually been pushed to the side because of how many tattooed, pierced, mohawk, shaved head, gum-chewing, leather-clad, spike-wearing, nose-pierced assholes have been destroying everything. And nobody still knows what the hell that was. All they know is that a very large group of punk-like people started turning over cars in the Pearl District one night. And then the next night in the New Orleans district, a cop spoke to one. Punches were flying after that. Gunshots went off. And next thing you know, there's fucking tear gas. And they're spreading some mist that stops the fire from spreading. It's been nuts. Now, luckily, there's not been as much violence in the streets lately. Mm-hmm. But still, there's that odd, strange thing that happens here and there. And a lot of the times, it's people in your high society that are being targeted. Mm-hmm. So, your sire, Winston, do me a favor. Your character has 5 points in resources.
Yes.
You also have a drunk uncle sire. Mm-hmm. I want you to roll 1 dice. High or low?
High.
High? Your sire's in a great mood tonight because your stocks are up.
That's what I give. That's what I pay for my stockbrokers.
With all the tragedy that's been going on in the city, the rich people are drinking. They're staying in, they're having parties, and they're drinking. So, luckily, things are going very well for you. Mm-hmm. Now, your sire also would have been beating into your head this entire time. Sometimes very kindly, like a teacher. Other times, if you get something wrong, he'll hurt you. But he wants you to know that it's for your own good. Victim blaming. Big time. That it is almost time for you to be released. Your sire has let you know that he's planning this massive gala event for the upper crust of the kindred of the city. You're about to meet new people. You know how you're on the highest part of the human echelon when it comes to high society dealings? Mm-hmm. You are now going to be in the lowest rank of the kindred, and you get to have the wonderful advantage of trying to work your way up to become higher on that one. Don't expect this to be easy.
It never is.
This is going to be your introduction to the Camarilla. They don't just let anyone in, but as a Ventru, you better get in. Now, we've gone over it time and time again. Traditions. Are you well prepared to answer questions about the traditions?
I am.
Are you? What are they?
First and foremost,
I don't want to hear any hooker nonsense with this guy.
Hooker.
No. Out of character. He does not want to hear any hooker nonsense.
First and foremost, keep the masquerade safe.
Why?
Because we could just go get killed.
That is a very good point. And I think and he'll go over to this big wall-sized window, and you can see like where people are rebuilding damaged buildings and everything, and city lights and stuff are being put up so that you can, so they can work through the night to get buildings put back together. Mm-hmm. And he'll look towards the evidence of the carnage that have happened in the last half a year, and he goes, that shit happens. The miscreant anarchs who don't give a crap about the masquerade are the ones who cause that.
Maybe we get caught in the crossfire. Maybe we don't take care of ourselves.
What else?
Respect those above you.
That's not a tradition. There's no tradition of respect. You don't have to respect anybody. Mm-hmm. You have to lie through your teeth as if you did, but you don't have to respect anyone. Domain. Domain is the next tradition. It is arguably as important as the first one. Because where you have this tower, and you are king of the castle here, and you could have a domain anywhere else in the city that you are able to get it, the prince's domain is the entire city. So you are subject to his rule no matter where you are here. Which means don't get caught doing anything stupid. After that, something that you should not have to worry about for a long time, progeny. Do you know what the tradition of progeny entails?
Ask permission to sire a child?
Yes. You have to get permission from 3 people. You have to get permission from me, from the primogen of the Ventru clan, and from the prince. Now, when you are fully released and I don't care what you're doing anymore and you've done your purpose for me and you're your own big boy vampire off doing what you want to do, you don't have to ask my permission anymore. But you will forever have to ask the primogen unless you become the primogen yourself, which could take decades, if not centuries. Which you have if you play your cards right. But you will always have to ask the prince. Again, unless you become a prince. And the Ventru have a long, prestigious history of being the clan with the most princes. It's like how most millionaires in the United States are managers at a McDonald's. Most princes come from Clan Ventru. Accounting. Accounting is very important, especially right now to you. If you do something that makes me look bad, both of us are punished. Do you comprehend that? The direct words are, those thou create are thine own childer. Until the progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Which means if you do something wrong, I look bad. Now, it says until you're released. It can hold over a lot longer than that. That is pre-station. If you do something, it looks down on me. Boons, banes, things like that. You can get favors. You actually don't count as Camarilla until you have some favors under your belt, so keep that in mind. It used to be a tradition that when a child is introduced into the city, the Primogen Council would each give a boon to the child. granting you access into the Camarilla as a full member. Some Malkavian decided that it would be a good idea to hand somebody a seashell one time, and now people are just getting presents. So, you have to be very careful with the way that you maneuver around things. Try to get favors. Try not to owe any. Hospitality. Hospitality makes sense for exactly what it is. Be kind to those who are in your domain, and respect others that you are in theirs. Mm-hmm. And then destruction. Only the prince and your sire have the right to destroy you. Which brings us back to accounting. Don't embarrass me in court. You do not have the right to kill anyone. There is a very rare occasion, at least it should be rare, called a blood hunt. You need to keep those in mind also. Everyone is expected to participate. Now, we are going to have an Elysium event to introduce you and a few other childer to the city, because the Camarilla is trying to repopulate the area. We are trying to be quiet about this. The Anarchs don't need to know how many of us there actually are here. Mm-hmm. I have been requested by someone. Have I explained to you what coteries are?
Group of vampires.
Social groups, yes. Very rarely you can create a coterie on your own by becoming allies with kindred. Other times your elders will piece you together to go off and do things, or find out that if you work well together you can create a group that works as a well-oiled machine, that kind of thing. Walking into this event without knowing anybody is almost certainly a death trap in a city with a Malkavian prince that is utterly controlled by anarchs and had hunters here less than a year ago. So, I'm going to work on getting you involved with some of the other to be introduced into the city, so that you're not walking in blind and alone. I have a few allies, and we're going to set you up on a neutral ground territory kind of situation, so that nobody has an advantage over the other. Get the advantage over the others. Now, the two individuals that I'm going to be getting a hold of, one belongs to the Tremere clan. Do you remember anything about them? We've gone over them, I'm sure.
Don't trust it, like at all.
Exactly. The Tremere, they're not so different from the Ventru in practice. We both have the need to command. We both have the need to keep our childer educated, informed on social events. The Tremere, however, have fallen quite a degree in the last few years, and that is something that we can use to our advantage. They used to, and I'm sure they still do somewhere, they're like cockroaches. You kill one, there's like 50 others. But they used to hold grand buildings, fortresses, that they called chantries. These were libraries, training facilities, and things like that. The Tremere don't seem to be as organized as they were in the past. But they still do practice magic. And I do mean literal magic. You are dealing with vampire wizards here, mages.
Shit just keep getting weirder and weirder.
You drink blood, and you burst into flames in the sunlight, and you're confused over magic?
Bursting into flame, drinking blood comes with the territory of being a vampire. Magic, though?
They utilize their blood in ways that you don't know how. Having a Tremere owe you a favor can come in handy. Think of it as a medieval court. You've got your kings, your knights, your pages, and your wizards. The other individual that I know is a member of the Banu Hakim, which is a rather newcomer to the Camarilla in general. Classically, they're assassins. But in the Camarilla, they have always worked on an advisor capacity. They seem to be intelligent for the most point, but they also can be dangerous. They make wonderful bodyguards. So, magic and someone who can watch your back. I am working on possibly getting someone who can get information to you easier. The Nosferatu.
Information broker?
In a way. They typically deal in boons and favors, but they usually go for knowledge more than anything else. And they can pretty much find out anything from anyone. So, don't let their appearance put you off.
I don't judge people for appearance.
Have you seen a Nosferatu yet?
Can't say I have.
After you do, I'm going to ask you that again. So, make sure you have a clear schedule tomorrow night, because we're going to get you acquainted with your new friends with a play date. Do you have any questions?
Nope.
Good. So he is going to take one last look out the window at the construction, shake his head. You can hear him say under his breath, so much money wasted on these children. And he is going to turn on his heel and walk out the door. I'm assuming the way that I see it, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you walk out the main room, there's a door, and it leads directly into an elevator.
Yeah.
And he's going to leave you to your own devices.
Since I'm a 7 humanity, can I still, and because of my bane, can I still mix blood and gin and able to drink it?
I do not follow those rules as much. I say that if it's a liquid and you're mixing it with blood, you can drink it. Unless you're like really, really high, far down humanity, then you probably just wouldn't think about it. It would probably just ruin it for you. But yes, I would say that you can go ahead and mix gin and blood and be fine with that. Now, traditionally, the Banu Hakim treat their Chelder like children. Like, I don't mean patronizingly or anything like that. They just treat you as if you're...
They actually take care of
They take care of you, yeah.
The fuck are they doing being vampires?
Yeah. They're not good vampires.
They're bad
but
at
they're
this.
good at surviving.
Yeah.
Better than vampires.
You're good at killing and surviving.
Maybe they don't get assassinated by their own progeny as much.
How long do you think your character was embraced? 1 to 5 years?
I thought we were all supposed to play fairly new characters.
Yeah.
Within 1 to 5 years. Like, how much
I have a
training?
great way to do that. 5 years.
5 years. Cool. Everybody's 5 years old. Yay. Your sire would have insisted, regardless of what your mode of study is, for you to choose a weapon that is your weapon. Regardless of whether or not you have that ritual or not, she would want you to have one that you are the master of, specifically. What kind of weapon would you say you would go for?
Okay, I actually had a great idea that I was already writing down. So, once upon a time, I saw this online. It is
Shell and Spade. Anyway.
Well, and also actually the mention of springs brought this up. So imagine taking a long, thin piece of spring steel, and then taking put a nylon sheath.
Okay.
And then you've got a wrapped handle on it, which you slide behind the belt buckle that you sew to the end of the sheath.
Oh, the hidden blade for the...
and when you need it, you reach in, whip it out, and it's got a fold down the middle, and guess what? Now you're running at people with a machete.
I have seen that. Mm-hmm. I think they're cool. I have no idea how to run that.
That's okay.
But I'm willing to look into it.
That's okay. I'm going to suck at it using it. Well, it's a machete.
Yeah, that's true. In this game, all you really need to do is think of what
how many pluses. It's +1 through +5.
Yeah, the rest is fluff. The rest is fluff.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So your belt sword thing?
Sword belt.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm just going to write that until... I'm going to look up what that actually is called. What is your nationality?
French.
French. Interesting. Do you have a profession in mind? Like, does your character have a resource of any kind?
I took one.
Okay. How did they get it?
It's sitting on top of a stack of CDs that their parent gave.
Okay.
I think I have
That's cool. You don't actually have to have a job. You're a fucking vampire.
No, he's shiftless.
I think I have your avatar.
I already picked my avatar.
Okay, we picked.
Regine, the fucking paladin out of Honor Amongst Thieves.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yes, and I picked up a shit ton of looks merits.
That's very cool.
As I said, Bradley Cooper is actually American French.
I don't know Bradley Cooper.
I really love what you're doing there.
Oh, okay.
Good.
And
Bradley Cooper?
you can be...
He's American French.
You can be any ethnicity as a Hakimite now. But
yeah.
I thought handsome Hakimite, and my brain went through the stereotype and went over to that guy.
I would actually say, why don't we give you a resident sponsor, not your sire?
Okay.
Because after you're done training under your sire, they would have sent you off to train under somebody else.
Okay.
So, like, kind of a apprenticeship kind of deal. Like, that sounds very Banu Hakim, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to throw a concept at you.
Okay.
If you like it, you can take it.
Got it.
If you don't like it, you don't have to take it.
If I don't like it, I'll make sarcastic comments.
I'll
probably make those anyway. But
let's make you a little bit older.
Okay.
Let's say that you were embraced in 2013. Okay? During the French consulates, when the buildings in Paris blew up and destroyed all those Justicars.
Oh, yeah. That.
Let's say your sire was there.
Okay.
So your sire's dead.
Oh, okay.
And this person that we have is your mentor instead.
This is my foster sire.
So you have a foster sire. It changes up the story from what we already have going on. It also stops everybody from being 5 years embraced. You are French. You were embraced when that shit happened. So you would
give me a date.
It doesn't have an exact date. It just says 2013. Unfortunately, the timeline doesn't have like exact months or anything.
Okay.
So your sire probably found you, embraced you, and was teaching you the ways that everything was going on, probably because the fucking Banu Hakim were not invited, and then was caught in the explosion.
Oops.
Shortly after your embrace, the Banu Hakim were invited to join the Camarilla, and the Setites were told no. Your sire's friend, an ally of your sire's, a partner, has taken care of you since.
Cool.
That makes me happy. Now, that also makes a lot of sense because Darien King used to frequent France. So, they're there to keep an eye on this Malkavian. This guy is an Archon who gave up his Archon position to become Prince. Basically, that just means that he decided that he didn't want to be an assassin any longer and he wanted to settle down. But it still is kind of suspicious that somebody who had that much power and was trusted by a Justicar decided to go, I'm going to go play politics. Hadia is trying very hard to keep you informed on both Banu Hakim tradition and Camarilla tradition. She will also let you know that one of the most dangerous things in the world to us right now are our own kind.
How specifically do you mean that?
A very powerful elder came back.
Of which clan?
Ours.
You mean it very specifically?
Yes. A few years ago, a very powerful Methuselah of our clan woke up, came back, and killed most of us. We ran because he demanded worship. That's not what we were sent here to do. That's not what Hakim wanted. And he claims to be the voice of Hakim. So, if you meet any of us that I have not introduced you to, then be wary. They are cannibalistic.
The word heresy comes strongly to mind for some reason.
Unfortunately, the majority of the clan is a heresy. So we are going to try to keep...
Numbers do not excuse anything.
We are trying to keep the teachings of Hakim and our own hearts. We are not going to bow to Yoshirogi's demands of supplication. Now, on to matters at hand. I'm going to be introducing you soon. You studied for a very long time, longer than most kindred. You have the advantage. You're going to be able to meet the higher society of Camarilla kindred. The Prince, Keeper of Elysium, Harpies. They're the most dangerous. Harpies. They might not seem dangerous, but they wield a social knife they'll put in your back if you do anything wrong. Now, the Banu Hakim, also out of character, are very big on spirituality. What's your character's religion?
France, Muslim or
Christianity.
Catholic, or just agnostic. That's kind of the prevailing one.
Most Banu Hakim are
we're not
Muslim,
gonna-
but you don't have to be Muslim any longer. Your mentor is, but she encourages you to take time for your spiritual studies in any spiritual study you have, as long as you believe in something. You have to have some type of guiding light. But yes, a religion is going to be important. If you are French, Catholicism and Muslim are the two biggest religions.
Yeah, I'm gonna
in that
stay.
But yes, she will be very supportive over whatever religion your character actually is.
Yeah, that's TBD. I've got to read.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
She'll tell you that she has a sire who has mixed heritage of his religion. He's born Muslim, but along the way, as a human, he found a different faith, but he could not give up his love of Allah, so he's melded the two to himself. He is a devout Muslim, but he has Nordic traditions. She actually gets very fond when fond of speaking about him, and she actually at some point wants to introduce you to him. Because the sire-child relationship of the Banu Hakim is the healthiest in the world of darkness.
Really weird.
It's really weird. Yeah.
It's like they didn't, hang out in Enoch with the rest of them or something. So, since we are going to be introducing you soon into the greater society, the lessons that you have received on how the Camarilla works are going to be vastly important. 1, don't trust anyone. 2, allies are important. I understand not trusting anyone and having allies sounds contradictory, but you have to try to balance the two. Understand that the corruption of Cain is going to run deep in all of them. And a lot of them will betray you without even wanting to. It's just nature to them. A lot of them are also not going to understand how to uphold justice in and of itself.
I'm literally taking notes.
Yeah. Something about being embraced causes them to lose all sense of right and wrong over time. Are you do you feel comfortably well versed on the traditions?
Masquerade, domain, progeny, accounting, hospitality, destruction.
Good. Very good. A note for the last one. Darien King enjoys giving orders. And by introducing a Banu Hakim into a city that he is running, if he calls for destruction, he may ask you to do that.
It's foolishly stereotypical, isn't it?
Yes. And racist, if you want to put it that way.
Not of the prince.
The prince is going to want to feel as if he has control over anything and everything in his city. Especially given the situation right now. The anarchs of this city are angry and are acting out. This was their city until recently. It was a Camarilla city. The anarchs took over, and they only held it for a brief time before our dear prince weaseled his way in and took it. Now, the anarchs do not hold as much value over the masquerade as we do, which is why the Camarilla is back here. The riots, the fires, the attacks, that was anarchs fighting for territory amongst themselves and amongst other kindred that were in this city. I would not be surprised if a man like Darien King called a blood hunt on members of the anarchs.
And all are expected to attend the blood hunt.
I always say that none are expected to oppose a blood hunt, but all are expected to attend. Now, once a hunted member of a blood hunt leaves the city boundaries, they can't be touched.
Unless they happen to return. So to ensure that they face their sentence, they would have to be subject to rendition first.
Do you have any questions about the greater society that you're
Of the
going?
Camarilla?
Yes.
What can you tell me about the primogen of the city?
Forming.
They have not yet been.
They're not
fully
solidified
aligned.
as of yet. The prince has ideas, and the clans have to acknowledge those ideas. But there aren't many Camarilla in this city to afford primogen as of yet.
And the harpy?
I don't know who it is. Not yet. I'm sure we'll find out when you're introduced.
Yes.
It's not a hidden position. It's not something that people have and keep quiet about. They boast. Most of them end up being members of the Toreador clan. It's not necessarily always Toreador, but most are Toreador. There are some kindred who have already been established here.
What are known domains then that should be avoided? Or boundaries?
I wouldn't travel alone for some time. Boundaries are still being written. Anarchs are running wild through the streets and still attacking us. And our retainers.
Well, you've mentioned the need for allies. Newly embraced kindred are probably easier to work with than those who are jockeying for positions of authority to begin
Yes. I have a meeting planned for you tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. I see.
Do you remember, I know we go back and forth on using our words and using their words, but coterie.
Coterie.
A grouping of kindred, kumat for us. Coteries are groups of vampires that are brought together in one way or another. Sometimes it's necessity, not just about friendship.
From what I've heard, it's more often against their will than of it.
Yes. I happen to be involved in a coterie. A coterie that is trying very hard to attain primogenship in the city. There's a few of us. And if we can attain it...
Excuse me, I feel a desire.
Yes. That's why we do this. If everything works out in our favor, not only will there be an established system in the city, there will also be allies for the newly embraced. So they're not just working through this alone like they typically would. The meeting I have for you planned tomorrow is a setup of the childer of my coterie. To see if you can form a coterie yourselves. This is not going to be insisted upon. It is not going to be forced. But walking into a Camarilla gathering with allies is a lot safer than walking in without.
So, and presumably if this coterie is seen, at least perceived as being successful, this would continue to elevate your status and support your goals of your coterie.
That is true. That is a secondary concern of mine, however. My main concern is that if individuals in the Elysium see you walk in with others of your own age and status, they will know that they cannot pinpoint one of you as a target.
Just as the smallest fish move in large schools.
Exactly. Now, this part may trouble you. One of the coterie members belongs to House Tremere. Back around the same time you were embraced.
Is that my mark?
No, you have no mark right now.
Okay.
Back around the same time that you were embraced, and the events that occurred in Paris, something else happened in Baltimore, Maryland, in the United States. A witch got a hold of a book that found a way to break the blood bonds. Completely and utterly shattering any dependency they had, including the ability for the clan to fight them back. There's a new organization within Clan Tremere called House Karna.
Well, she's got all the dirt.
Yes, she does. She's more willing to give information than your side.
You're just at the bottom tier of the popularity contest, bro.
House Karna are the most trustworthy of the Tremere. That doesn't make them trustworthy. It makes them the most trustworthy. Having a group of people who all beat their wives and one who beats their wife less does not make him a good husband.
Very similar to the analogy which came to my mind, which was, I'm sure they are also the least flammable.
They can be. What do you remember of Clan Tremere that I've told you?
Haven't mentioned much about recent Tremere history, admittedly, until now. Most of what I heard about Clan Tremere was before, and very little of it was favorable.
Hopefully House Karna proves us wrong on that one. But the Tremere do practice disciplines very similar to ours.
That was mentioned along with a number of words that I shall not be repeating.
To put it mildly.
Which seldom occurred.
To put it mildly, the quietus that we practice seems to be the base derivative of what their blood sorcery is.
Yes, there was a good deal of invective about that as
That being said, the Tremere practice things that we don't that are related, which means you could very well learn things from him. There's also a Ventru, newly embraced, young, ambitious sire. I don't know much about the child other than he owns an alcohol company of some kind. And I am trying to locate another member of my coterie.
So we are aware that it doesn't bother him to profit from the anguish and pain that the selling of alcohol causes amongst families.
That is very true. The other individual is a Nosferatu, but I'm not 100% sure where I can find them. That's kind of the hard part of the Nosferatu. Have you met any of them?
If I had, would I know?
That is a good question. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's incredibly easy. They are physically deformed.
All of them?
They wear their curse on their skin. The Nosferatu don't choose to embrace the physically deformed. The curse causes them to become physically deformed.
The distaff version of the Malkavian.
But they are wonderful. Do you know the old Banu Hakim adage about breaking into a castle? It's very old. I don't know if I've spread it. If you're traveling through the tunnels of a castle to get to a mark, and you come across a hideous creature in the sewers, and it's walking in the dark, you've been found out. Leave. If you come across a hideous creature and it's walking by torchlight, it's a Zamitsi, and your job will be done for you. But I know that I will be able to reach two of them. And you walking into this event with allies is it's a layer of protection for you. Now, when you go in, you are not automatically part of the Camarilla like it used to be years ago. You do not become a member of the Camarilla until you've already gained a boon. It used to be, if you were a vampire, you were a member of the Camarilla, unless you were not. And what I mean by that is the way that the Camarilla viewed things is kindred all belong to the Camarilla unless they were actively trying to destroy the masquerade in some fashion. So the Sabbat, they were anti-Camarilla. Even the Anarchs were considered Camarilla. Up until a few years ago. Nowadays, however, after the beckoning started, the elders of the Camarilla have left and left their young ones in charge. And you get that situation where mom and dad are no longer at home, so I'm going to be the big rebel in charge of everything. And the rules have changed. Now everything runs off of credit. You're not actually considered a member of the Camarilla unless you hold boon over someone. Hopefully, and it's not guaranteed, but hopefully, a higher member within the Camarilla will offer you a boon as a welcome. That's how it used to be. It's not guaranteed any longer. Nowadays, it comes to Ventru offering money, Toreador offering exclusive entrance into a club, things like that. Hopefully, you'll gain a boon. If you show worth to someone, you will get a boon. But that is not to be worried about right now. You have the rest of the night to yourself. You can handle your studies. You can prepare yourself for the Elysium event, which is coming up. Which I have to go find out where it is going to be held. Because where it was going to be held was attacked by the Anarchs and has been burned. So, I have to find out where the new event is going to be taking place tonight. The Camarilla have historically kept their Elysium in Portland in the Benson Hotel.
You said the surest way to ensure immediate entrance to the Camarilla is to gain a boon.
Yes.
And the surest way to gain a boon is to provide some proof of usefulness.
Yes. Someone will ask you to do something. You do it. They owe you. That's a boon. Boons come in various levels, but it does not matter what size of boon that you get. It gains you entry.
For these purposes, every favor is a favor.
Every favor counts.
I have the rest of the evening.
You have the rest of the evening.
I'll be going out.
Be careful.
I won't be seen.
Good. So you go into obfuscate and scoot out?
Yep.
What kind of haven situation are we looking at here?
I would rather not discuss.
Okay. You and your secrets?
Oh, yeah.
I understand.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
We'll talk.
Okay. Are we going to discuss what you're doing for the rest of the evening, or...
Reconnoitering.
Was that a word?
Reconnaissance.
Oh.
Yes.
I thought you said reconnoitering, and I'm like...
Reconnoitering.
You did say reconnoitering.
Yeah.
I am...
Yeah, that's the active form of reconnaissance.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Interesting. What are you reconning?
Probably the Anarchs.
Oh, okay. Wits plus streetwise? The first test of a new game!
Oh. Can you already hear the screaming?
Virgin dice.
So that's a 5.
5 successes?
Yeah, on my 4 dice.
What kind of things are you looking for?
Oh, I mean, ideally, some secret of their distribution or habits that proves immediately worthwhile of a boon, but, you know.
Okay.
We'll see.
The most anarch of the anarch places? Mm-hmm. With 5 successes? Mm-hmm. And then being a critical? You're probably going to find the last drop.
Okay.
It's a classic biker bar kind of place. They're loud, the obnoxiousness. You may find hidden symbols around that point to it being an anarch bar.
And cataloging those might be somewhat useful.
Yeah.
As a piece of information.
So that's the kind of shit you're going to discover that night.
Let's see. And even if nothing on that out of character might be terribly uncommon knowledge, that sets me up for later skullduggery.
Yeah. Not saying that's going to automatically grant you a boon or anything, because everybody knows the last round, but like you're new.
I didn't.
And it's the most obvious Anarch place you're going to find.